Hey everyone. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone's Thursday, pre-Friday? You know? Hello, Jessica. Alici's the goat. How are you? Hello now. Well, this is Maya.
Hi everyone, I'm Maya or MJ, both work.
We have an MJ.
Okay.
We have an MJ that kind of like when she's just a part of the crew, but she's Doctor. Oh no, that's the Mel.
Mm.
Never mind. That's just too confusing. Hey, Adrienne.
Hey.
Adrienne.
Hello.
Maya.
Hi, Maya.
Adrienne or
Hello.
MJ. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've had a long day today, so I'm glad to finally be talking about some books or reading books or doing something with books because that's where my comfort is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, my afternoon, I had a lot of meetings today, so just one of those days.
Today was the day I ignored my supervisor all day. ignore, ignore. Oh, I'm on a phone call. Ignore. And she got really mad about it. So whatever. Um, but we are here to talk about Wildseed.
Wildseed.
What edition do you have? Oh, that's a hardcover?
It's a paperback, but I just put it in like a little Ziploc.
Okay.
It's from the 80s.
Oh,
I haven't seen that version.
me either. Huh.
I think I got it for I think $45.
Oh, okay. That's an OG OG.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, initial thoughts. I would like to know people's initial thoughts and ratings in the comments. Um, but for someone who is a newbie to Octavia, I loved it. I gave it a 4.5. Part of it, I would have given it a 5 star. It's something that I can definitely read. It just to me, the dictatorship like was pissing me off. Like the
Mm.
possessiveness. I was just like, oh, Taro. But what are you guys' initial thoughts?
Go ahead, Adrienne.
Oh. Um, so I've had this book for a long time and definitely had not read it before. So I was like, oh, let me see if I can read it. And I did, and I was like, 4 stars.
Mm-hmm.
He was something else, but she was something else too, just different.
Yeah,
And there was some great lines in this book. Great
hitting.
lines in this book. Um, yeah, I did. I really did enjoy it. Really did enjoy it.
Um, this is my second read of Wildseed,
Oh, okay.
and my first read I gave it a 4 stars, but this time I gave it five. And I like Octavia Butler is my favorite author. I love
Mhm.
her work, and I think out of all of her stories, this may be one of my favorites, just because. So my first time reading her, I'm reading it and I'm like, this is what sci-fi can do.
Right.
Like
Mm,
sci-fi can be this African woman, this immortal, this shapeshifter, this healer. Like
mm-hmm.
it was
Mhm.
just it opened up my mind, and I realized it could be so much more than what I had been reading, and I was like, "Oh, I need to diversify. I need to diversify my reading."
That's a
Um
good point because when people think of sci-fi, they think of space, right?
yeah.
Right.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
not. That's not the case at all.
Yep. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I gave it 4 stars. Doro pissed me off. Ooh, and then the end, his crying at the end.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it. Oh, we're gonna talk about it.
But Dora was a trip, Anyan was a trip. Just she wrote such dynamic characters, and I mean, she knew how to make us hate Doro. She knew
Yes.
how to make us hate him. So I give this 5 stars this time around.
That's the emotional part, right? Like tying into, I did feel all of those emotions, whereas like the hate, like the deep hate I was having for this pimp, right? This, or like G-Ra said, the Civil War, pre-Civil War pimp. So I really hated him, but then there was times where I felt like deep love, like, oh my God, the love that she had for her husband and her children. And then the world that she created on her own after leaving. So it was like a roller coaster of like anger and love and passion and like so many different things, and played so well on the emotions in general throughout this entire book. Got lost at the points, but it was very interesting. Really think I need to read it again. Would like it to in the future. Okay, 5 stars. Octavia is the best. Octavia holds no hostage in this book.
None.
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 Not love it. Oh no. But that's why I'm here, because I'm hoping to get different perspectives. Might change my opinion.
Okay.
God.
That's fair. And that's good, because there are a lot of people who will read a book and they don't like it at first and they just give up and they don't even want to hear another perspective.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you want to hear other perspectives to see, like, maybe I can look at this differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Ain't nothing to play with at all, okay?
She challenged him. She challenged him.
That was wild the entire time. Yeah, that, and he kept calling her Wildseed, and he's the one out there wilding out.
Right. Every time he would get mad, Wildseed. Me.
You.
Exactly.
As you lay your babies in multiple continents. Okay. So it starts off in Africa, where Doro has this sensation of people who are unique, right? Like he gets this vibe, I guess, is how I took it. And finally found Anyanwu. I swear I was just talking about this yesterday and saying her name, but he finds her, convinces her to leave with him, sleeps with her, all in a matter of a couple pages, right? Like that, to me, I was just like, whoop. I didn't go in reading synopsis or anything like that. And Maya, have you read the entire series?
Yes. Actually, no. There's a 5th one called Survivor that she did not want reprinted. Okay. And it's very rare. And I have a copy of it, but I haven't read it. Okay. I have a digital copy. I'm pretty sure it's okay if I send it to you guys, because it's something that they're not selling on her behalf. She didn't want it printed. But it is number 4 in the books, technically, like chronologically wise.
Oh, okay.
But it's, like I said, she didn't want it reprinted. So that's the one that I haven't read. But the other 4, I've read it, and it's all so good.
Okay. Because I'm really hoping that the second one isn't like a second book syndrome where it just like goes down from after the first one. But I love we're finding out that he is able to transition and basically kill someone and take over their body, right? So we're finding that out in the beginning. And then they get on a ship and he's selling slaves in the beginning, and I was so confused, and I'm like, who is this man? Like, you go up to her, try to convince her to ride with you. You got this black woman, half naked, and she gets on the ship. She can't speak any other language, so there's language barriers. So the beginning of the first couple of chapters, I was kind of like, okay, she just threw us into the trenches. Like, what? It was not a smooth. To me, it wasn't a gradual opening, which I enjoy, because like where I don't enjoy gradual openings, I want to be thrust into it. But Doro from the bat like just gave me these weird vibes on like what the fuck are you doing type of thing.
Something I caught the second time I was reading it, but not the first time, is this part. I have the digital version also that I read on page 8, and it says he was killed several times by disease, by animals, by hostile people. And like, I didn't catch that part the first time, but it's just casual. It's like she's kind of telling you right there, like, yeah, he's just died casually several times while he's traveling through Africa looking for this sensation that he feels, because he says he feels Anyanwu, and so he's looking for her, and he dies a couple times on the way to find her. And that tripped me out. And then he says to her,
I didn't even pay attention to that.
I was tripped out.
So he did
I was like, I was like, oh my, he's telling us already that he's died several times and came back. And then he says to her, when they're speaking, she says, I am old, she says, masking her fear with anger. I could be your mother's mother. She could have been an ancestor of his mother's mother, but she kept that to herself. Who are you? She demanded. I could be your mother's father, he said. She took another step backwards, somehow controlling her growing fear. So, like, that, when I was reading it, that kind of sent chills, where he was like, I could be your mother's father. Like, I'm so old. Like, please. You thought you were old?
Right.
I'm
you thought
old.
you were old. I was here
Right.
before you were born, mother sucker.
I was like, oh.
Grandparents were born.
I guess Doro's nothing to play with.
But yet, it's like he didn't feel her when she first came to be, because they're both old, and then they're both procreating the earth.
Right.
And she has this whole village that she's for millennia has procreated, helped to procreate.
Yeah,
and he didn't feel her until, later on, which is interesting.
And now that I'm thinking about it, is it possible? Because he had his seed village out there, and when he gets to the seed village, it's ravaged, it's destroyed, there's nobody left. And so is it possible that he finally feels Anyanwu because all of his other seeds have been taken?
Yeah.
Like, there's no...
Like, diminished. So he just holds that
so
hold
he finally feels her. He finally feels her like he didn't feel her before. I thought... that could be it.
That could be. That's a good point. Like, is there a limit? Right? Because Anyanwu, I'm butchering that, but she has that same thing to an extent, where she's able to find people who are unique, and it's not as if, she found so many people and created her own little village of people that Doro had no idea about. So, like, is it a limit, I guess? Or, I don't know.
But she also has rules different from his that clash with his beliefs. And that might be a trigger warning for some people who have not read the book, or who have read the book and realize that they don't like it.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the things I thought about, is that I guess we're going to go into spoilers as we talk about the book.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
There was mentions of sexual abuse, but also in terms of incest, which she didn't allow. He felt there was no problem with it in a way of, I guess, keeping the lines pure, so to speak. But she didn't believe in that.
Yeah.
I did list trigger warnings on my story graph. So for anybody who hasn't read, colonization is one, domestic abuse, incest, death, animal death, sexual assault, emotional abuse, misogyny, murder, pedophilia, and injury or injury detail. So those are the trigger warnings that I had listed for the book for anybody who maybe didn't read
Yeah.
it. But I think I was gonna say I think Doro like allowing taboo things could be because he's like so very little human. Like he's not really human. And so like the moral aspect of things don't really occur to him, or like not even that they don't occur, but they don't matter to
They
him.
don't matter at all.
It's just trivial. Like he doesn't care.
Like they're so nonchalant because it's and plus you have to think like he's what, over 3,000 years old, like what, 3,700 years old compared to her where she's only 300 years old. He grew up,
She's a baby.
Yeah, she is a baby compared to him. And so knowing that the way that he has been running things and doing things for 3,000 years, and then you get this person who comes along and is like, I'm not marrying my grandson and cousins and your son and your daddy, uncle, cousins. Her ethical values are a lot more different in the times than where it was his, back when it was just him. So plus he's on a mission, like Maya said, that moral aspect isn't necessarily there, so he's just thinking about a mission of creating a subspecies rather than caring about actual human beings and their abilities. But I agree with this also, like she told him way too much of her business from the get, because she really thought she was about to be married and go to this new land with him on his boat.
I really felt like she was enthralled because she did say the only other person that she met that had powers like her was her mother. And her mother couldn't shapeshift, but her mother and her had a mental link together where they could feel what the other one was feeling.
Right.
And so the fact that, like, I assume her mother had long been dead, and then she meets this other immortal, and she's like, oh my God, someone like me. And then she just clings to him. She just instantly, like, I'm going to cling to him. I'm going to go with him. I'm going to tell him everything. And I was like, girl, you don't even know who that is. Like, don't go with him.
And there are so many red flags, especially after his first kill of, what was he, the king? I believe.
Yeah.
And there were so many red flags.
That I was like, whoa. And then she's trying to figure out what was said because it's not the same language that she speaks. So,
all she sees is him killing the child, and then, and he killed the man who attacked him. And she's like, the thing that upset her was the fact that he killed the child. And his response was like, I only killed a child that was low caste. Like, Doro.
Dang, no sympathy, no care for human beings at all. And that, like after having to, kill that many people to sustain himself, I mean, part of it is like, well, I wouldn't care either after 3,700 years, and I gotta kill people but not maybe. I don't know. I would have took myself out. 3,700 years is a very long time. Like, a very long time.
That's too long. It's
the Patternist series is all connected.
Yeah. And they're not really they're kind of standalones. They can be read as standalones, like you can read them interchangeably, but they're still connected. Like there is like a technical chronological order to them.
Mhm. Gotcha.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a body snatcher.
Yeah.
He was.
Man,
Yes, he was.
whereas
Different
that
colors and
she could
area
change
codes.
when she changed to a dolphin. I said that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And she and his son like to become birds. But
Well, I
he,
don't think
you
he
know,
became a bird. I think he had the ability to fly. Like there
Yeah.
was no
right, the ability to fly.
transition into it. Yeah.
But what I just forgot what I was going to say. But he, when they were on the boat, and he was like, well, you can become whoever you want. And she said, well, I don't want to be like them, talking about Caucasians.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, you can. He said, but my people are free. So,
which is
like,
like
yeah.
another good thing, that I really loved about the book, that it didn't take that aspect of like us reading about slaves and hearing the experience of slaves. Like Doro's crew were still having to, they weren't shackled, they weren't, all of those. So the trauma was, I didn't have to read about that aspect, but I mean they still had to serve him like he was a god, but they weren't beaten, they weren't any of that. And I'm so glad that I did not have to read about that. So that was awesome. But yeah, if they're not necessarily free, but they're able to have homes and are not treated like the actual slaves that were not a part of Doro. Yeah. She was the biggest part of what he wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Doro has no limits.
No.
I thought people were drawn to her. She wasn't seeking them like Doro. Probably. Well, I mean, like, I can see that too. Either way, like, there's unique people out there that she's coming across, that she's, walking past or whatever the case may be, and she notices how unique they are and their abilities. But yeah, Doro was seeking them, like actually going out to find them.
She just happened to find like her wife Denise is the one who could see ghosts and brushed up against she could see ghosts and past lives and brushed up against her, and she saw Anyanwu's life and saw what Anyanwu was, what she really was underneath, and they got close and fell in love. And then the husband that she ended up having Stephen with, the one with the deformed arms, he could read people's minds. And when she went to go look at slaves to purchase slaves, she got distracted by her thoughts about bookkeeping on the property. And he reached out to her and was like, basically was like, slaves are all around you and you're unaffected. Like, your skin is white, but are your eyes blinded like a white person too? And so those people who had those special abilities were kind of reaching out to her, and Dora was like offended at first because he was like, how dare you gather, witches like I'm gathering them, But for Doro, he was seeking them out and making them breed. For Anyanwu, she felt like she was meeting them and then releasing them, helping them. And she even tells him, like, I'm helping them. I'm doing this to help.
Yeah. So I get the attraction, like people are finding her to a certain extent because she's at the right place at the right time. So, and she definitely nurtured them. And you see that towards the end of the book where, moving, when she gets to the United States and she sees his village and she finally marries her son or his son, which is just the way it happened.
Was just so wrong. Like,
Oh, I just want, first of all, I do not condone pimping, okay? But that was a fucking disgusting ass pimp move that he did, laying her down, having dinner with her, sleeping with her, and then telling her that she has to marry his son
Mm-hmm.
after doing the do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you trifling.
and she kept telling him that's abomination. I'm not gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, oh, if you don't do it, then I'm just gonna pay a visit to your children. Like,
And she realized that she was pregnant. And what she did with her body, I'm like,
She shut
whoa.
that shit down.
yeah.
Whoa.
Like, hold on. Turn her or uterus and got rid of all types of things. I'm like,
She said, got rid of this.
right. She was like,
She said nobody will have any children. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. Whoa. I
Mm-mm.
was like, hold on now, wait a minute.
And I like that she did that because he was threatening her, like, if you don't have children from me, I'll just snatch your body and use it to have children anyways.
Yep.
And she was like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Like-
cute. It'll be fucked up by the time you get it.
Exactly.
So the fact that she got rid of her woman parts and switched them to prevent that from even happening, like it was like you can tell throughout this entire book that in the beginning she seems like she's just a follower and she's just like, you know, just following his lead, but the backbone that she has, she keeping quiet, but she is standing up to him, and you could tell that she is and has so much more. I think Elise said it, where she has so much control, and she is essentially stronger than him.
Quiet riot.
Yeah, because it was definitely a buildup, but she was like, "Honey." But that was, oh God, and that just showed, he just showed his ass. Like, how dare you? This is your son. And we still in the bed. Like, we ain't got
Meanwhile, the sun is waiting.
Waiting. Just and I didn't like, I want to like Isaac, but the things he said and the things he did made me I was just like, listen, you're making it hard to like you. Like, and he was just so excited, like, oh, you're gonna give her to me? Yay. That is your dad's wife. And I know they didn't have a ceremony, but Yeonwoo believed that they were married. She even says, like, we didn't have a ceremony, but we're behaving as if we're woman and man, as if we're husband and wife. So he's my husband, and now he tells me I gotta go marry his son.
Right.
Ew. And then she had to do it, and the good part, the only good part about that is that Isaac treated her very well. And An Yeonwoo says that he was one of the best of her husbands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the build up before the marriage was, to me, just disgusting. From the time that they were on the boat, the attraction that, and I guess because Isaac grew up in like, I'm waiting for my dad to provide me a wife type of person, whether he had her or not. Even his first person that he was with was given to Isaac from his dad that he probably already banged out, right? Like, and so, you know, my thinking was like, okay, this is the way Isaac grew up, but like from the boat, the attraction, the staring at her, you know, wanting to be with her, being excited that he's going to get her, knowing she keeps saying, I'm married to your dad, like, you know, thinking she's married to this man. I'm just like,
and he said that there was a thing he said about her where she was, you know, pointing out that he was staring at her, and he's like, but you know, you're not wearing very many clothes. People where you come from should wear more clothes. And I was just like, I don't care if her titties are out, you don't need to stare, like, and just blame it on her. Oh, well, it's your culture, it's the way you dress. And I was like, not this white man insulting her the way she's dressing. Oh God, Doro.
Doro was a pimp.
And I just felt so bad because they say, like, while she's with Isaac, Doro still visits her.
This book was wild.
Mhm.
This book was wild. She said there's so much wrong and nasty with this.
Man.
Yeah, one of the statements that I was like, that was really interesting. Said he's lived for more than 3,700 years. When Christ, the Son of God of most white people in these colonies, was born. I was like, all right, okay. I said that was interesting. I was like, oh, he was impossibly old.
Yeah.
I'm like, not only is he old, he's impossibly old.
So, I mean, and I know that Maya, you've read the other books, so one thing I'm looking forward to is like figuring out where did Doro come from, right? Like, hopefully it's unpacked it, but yeah. So after she marries Isaac, and it was probably one of the best decisions, she's still getting pimped out like she's some type of prostitute, right? So like having to share Isaac, which she's really enjoying their marriage, on top of Doro, on top of whoever else Doro decides she needs to have the baby by. Like that's he's really trying to create this subspecies, and she is like, come on, let's make it happen. But she gives Doro, I found it interesting that she gave Doro more children than she gave Isaac. I think Doro had like 8 children by her, and then Isaac had 5 or something like that. And Isaac is the one having to raise said children. And I'm like, listening to Isaac talk to Doro about his wife, I felt something there, like, okay, this was probably a good match, for them both. After dealing with a piece of shit like Doro.
And Doro sent Isaac to go sleep with other women, to go have children in his other seed villages too. So Anyanwu's sleeping with whoever Doro's making her, Isaac's sleeping with whoever Doro's making her, and at the end of the day, Isaac and Anyanwu go home to each other.
Yep. Just like a whorehouse.
Crazy. Some type of commune. It's like
I'm sorry, Maya. I said that too much with a straight face. I was like, yeah, they just go out whoring around. Open marriage. Yeah. Can you imagine having
so funny
wandering kids around with somebody? I don't know.
And she's like, I never complained about the women that Isaac had to sleep with. And I'm just like, you didn't have the space to. It's so sad. Like, you weren't able to. Exactly.
Down, girl. It's like, it's not that, and it's that whole dictatorship that I was talking about earlier that kind of like had me disgusted with the book, where that dictatorship that he can control not only 2 human beings but their children and their children and children and children. Like, he is matching everyone together, and yes, he has this plan in this master plan in his head, but it's like he doesn't have the moral aspect to care about these human beings, but yet he's just like, you have this ability to go with this person, you have this ability, not like there's no care in it at all. He's just like, I don't care that you're married to XYZ. Go dig this person down. Go bang this one out. Like,
do what I say with no questions.
Yeah, with no questions. And if they have this, everyone in the little village or area, they have this fear that if you disobey Doro, he's going to kill you and take your body or whatever the case may be. And it's just like, yo, these are technically all your grandkids, great grandkids, sisters, cousins, whoever related to you, but that human aspect is just not there for him to care, which is why some of these people do not develop abilities or go crazy with developing abilities, because you just mixing and mingling. Like,
yeah,
Oh,
Mhm.
it really was a dictatorship. I thought I missed it live. No, you're fine. Oh, Erica's calling me. Sorry, Erica. No, you're fine. Isaac sleeps with other women too when he goes away,
Yep,
of course.
he sure
Mhm.
does.
And it mentioned that he had something in Philadelphia, and I was like, I want to know more.
Right. Right.
I was like, what's happening over there? Like he took a body, and he didn't even tell Isaac that he has this thing happening in Philadelphia, I believe it was. And that was it. Like nobody knows about it, including Isaac. And that was it. Like end of conversation. And I'm like, come on. What give me more. What's over there? It's a whole nother plantation? Who knows? Who knows? Needs to get cut. You need to get snipped.
You're not wrong.
And then he gonna take another body and not snip
Mhm.
nothing. Hold on. Daughter has a project goal.
It's like he might have met somebody who was snipped and he knew not to get into that body.
Mhm.
Everybody he got into was fertile.
So fertile. And punched in the throat. He really does.
Not the throat.
I felt iffy about Isaac too. I needed her to have an ally, and he knew Doro. It was a lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, he was the lesser of two evils.
Sure.
I completely agree, which is why, like, after the whole incident of Doro telling her, like, hey, you need to marry Isaac, and him coming in and convincing her that it was the best move to protect her and her family, after she agreed to it, it did end up being the lesser of two evils. I really wish that she would have, he already knows that pull of her. Dora already knows that pull of her, so I wish she was able to escape instead of like staying in the United States and having to deal with the bullshit. But then where would the books go? She would have been gone, and she's one of the she is the best character in the book, I would say.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, I like that they also flew together as birds, and like she would go out and still be her leopard or whatever animal she became, and took care of her family. She took care of the community. She is the healer. She is the softer side of Doro, for sure. That nurturing, loving, nurturing.
When she healed him the first time, and she mentioned all the stuff that she was able to kill within her body that he had, like the parasites.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that was disgusting, but I'm like, she's powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, knew from the get-go. Not him having parasites.
But that goes into what we started to talk about last night, when I'm like, he's probably caught every type of disease imaginable.
Wow. Like I said,
she was just talking about what his hand was infected, but his entire body was probably infected.
Papa was a Rolling Stone, a whole new meaning, and he was forcing everyone to do the same. He was like, I'm gonna have 50-11 kids. You gonna have 50-11 kids.
Basically.
Basically, he is that he gives pimping a whole new meaning compared to what we know in the 20th, 21st century. Like he's
the original.
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
He is the original.
For sure. Hi, I read Wildseed 2 years ago. Octavia Butler, slow read. I heard about the slow read. And I know Maya, you did the slow read as well.
Yeah. It was it was just a spaced apart reading, like every other month, something like that. We'd read a book.
Yeah. I'm not a very slow reader. I like to binge my series. So you're not gonna get nothing like that out of it. If you are here for that, I apologize, but we were moving on to the next book and the next book and the next book because we got to get this done. We got to get it done. But yeah, he definitely needs to get kicked in the ball sack, okay? And every ball sack that he takes over, every single one of them.
Yeah.
Wildseed is everywhere, literally.
Yeah.
Literally. Isaac became a better man with time, for sure. They were.
He did.
Yeah.
Oh, and when he passed away.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
When he died.
This was my first.
Isaac was like, forgive each other, marry him, and just like, just deal with him. It's okay. Save your life. And you could really feel the love that he had for her for all of those years. And not only that, but the fact that she took her body and pulled it into those painful situations that Isaac was having to better help him with his heart. Like, come on. You were sacrificing yourself to figure out what's going on and what's going to heal your husband, and saving him and providing the medicine for over 20 years for his heart. I was like, that's how
because he could have died a long time ago.
Yeah.
He really could have.
Yeah. It was so sad. This was my first Octavia Butler book, so I remember pausing the audiobook and just crying. I cried because I was like, it's like, not only is Doro pimping her out, not only does she have to have all these kids with all these different people, not only did he do that shit with Thomas.
Yeah.
And then oh God, and then Enweke.
Oh.
And then right afterwards Isaac, and I couldn't take it. This time around, I was listening with my boyfriend, so he was like, "No, you have to pause this. You have to pause this." So I paused it, and he ranted for a good 10 minutes just about how upset he was. And I told him, like, I don't know why you're surprised. We read Kindred together. You know how Octavia Butler's writing is. But I don't know. It's so sad. Like, I was just so sad. Oh, yeah. Thomas. Enweke. Isaac. And the fact that you get all that in one chapter. That's all. Like, she just describes all that in one chapter. It's just a lot.
She definitely hit it.
You're trying to break people in one chapter. One chapter.
I threw up in my mouth. Doro said. When she altered her body to prevent pregnancy after that, realizing his plan was so heartbreaking. Yeah, she knew she was going to be used at that moment. Like, it was so sad. I have not read the book, but it sounds like old dude needs to get a little snippy snip.
Yeah,
snip. Okay.
It would work if he didn't body hop.
Right, he body hops all the time and changes his body, so it just wouldn't work. But yeah. When he died, I was so upset for her. She was alone because her daughters are trash. Remember how they were made? Oh, when they were, and she allowed them to sleep with Dora. Yo,
I was like, what type of scent does he have that he has them? I mean, she's fawning over her father. There's some sickness there. And I'm like,
and he was so proud of himself. Dora was so damn proud of himself for having slept with her. Like, you nasty piece. Oh, if I could cuss you. If I could cuss you out.
Doro's just nasty, but again with that sensation of feeling people. He felt her and came. That's when he mentioned the Philadelphia thing, and came all the way back. Met her. Maybe it's the transitioning, or I have no idea. But and then I felt like she was brainwashed because she just absolutely then hated her mom for keeping her protected.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have these serious conversations on our on our sprints and stuff like that, about like how, and I can relate to this, where I feel like I'm protecting my child because I know what's best. I know how it's going to, have a domino effect and hurt her in the long run. But she will use that protection against me to say I'm shielding her from this. Or there's always a way to turn things, right? Instead of looking at like my parent was protecting me from the asshole that you are, and for you to come in, take my virginity, and you're my father, like she knew who he was. And then for him to sleep with her, and like you said, he was so proud of that, like,
Yeah.
and then girl tried to kill her mom, like
just and Doro couldn't care less.
at all.
Like Isaac, he's like, don't you hear that screaming? That's not in Wicked, that's on Yanwu. And he like gets up and takes off running, and Doro's like, keeps eating his sweets. Like he don't give a damn. He did not give a damn. And then he walked in there, and Yanwu's bleeding from the mouth, bleeding from the nose, and he's just like, anyways, how's in Wicked? Like he did not give a damn.
He really thought he had another healer, another transition, person that could transition and have all his kids for him. He really thought that.
And he tried to tell Isaac even said, so you're using in Wicked to what, replace Anyanwu? And he says, yeah, she's going to be a better Anyanwu. She's going to be a better healer. She's going to be better with her abilities. She's going to be better overall. And he put all his eggs in one basket because in Wicked didn't even survive.
No.
She didn't even live. Which was so sad.
And that whole process was like, whoa.
It sounded heartbreaking. Like she was so young and having to go through those transitions. So it sounds horrific, those transitions. But then, of course, people were injured during that time period too. It's just, oh God. Oh man, just losing a little one, she had a life. She deserved more, but the fact that she tried to take her mom out, I was just like, girl, hold on.
And she did nasty work too. She cut Anyanwu up. She cut up all her organs
from the inside. Yeah.
Yep. Just sliced them all up and destroyed them. And she was so weak because she was trying to repair each of her organs one by one. Like, and she says, she said, if in Wicked would have started on my brain, I wouldn't have even had a chance. So she was close. She was close to death.
She really was, from her own daughter's hand, or not hand, but from her own daughter. Like, oh God, took her father out. I just like. But that whole scene with Isaac dying, just like, oof, that was sad. And then the funeral, her like knowing that she can't attend and decide to go back with the dolphins, and that was her way of hiding as well. But knowing like I can't bury my husband or continue raising my family, I have to go. And the bravery that she had with that, because it's so hard losing people, and she's so nurturing, and she does still have that human intact, that human moral system intact, and so not being able to go to her husband's funeral just to escape this asshole, where she loses her daughter and her husband in this at the same time, and can't even bury them. Like, that to me, I was just like, Lord.
It was rough.
Yeah.
Why do you do this to me, Octavia?
It's so brutal.
Man, it really was.
And then just can't even go bury your loved ones, and then you have to go live a century out as a dolphin.
Yeah. I could go on a whole rant about this food of the country, how bad it is for about a year. I love that she acknowledged that and the source of it, even for birth mention. Absolutely. I was so sad for her. Isaac was becoming a better person over time.
Yeah, he was.
He really was. Got me when she lost Isaac. It brought me to tears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Freaked out. Yeah, when she freaked out over drinking human milk or cow's milk.
Yeah.
Man. Yo. I know you don't know, Mike, but I've been vegan for at least 16 years, almost 17
Oh,
years.
wow.
So like, but I have not eaten or drink or eaten, because let's be real, cow milk is also in food.
Yeah.
I have not had cow's milk for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Well over 20 years.
That's a long time.
How old am I? Almost 40. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, like,
wow.
when she said, when I read that and she freaked out and her body went haywire,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in Target and I was listening to the book and I was like, fuck you. Yeah. And I was like, oh God, not me in the grocery aisle. Like, I was so happy. Because we should not be drinking milk
Yeah.
that takes baby calves
No.
from little calves, not really little, but to humongous fat cows. Like,
Yeah.
we should not be drinking. I was just like,
And just
man.
the way they process milk and make it is gross. I don't drink milk. I'm lactose intolerant. I haven't had milk. I think that, like, I will drink like a soy milk because it's soy based, but like actual milk, like cow's milk, no. So when I first read that, I was like, you tell them.
Mhm.
Tell them how nasty that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we are not cows at all, and it is meant to make baby cow. It is breast milk. It is meant to make baby cows into big, fat, humongous cows. So I just, that took me out. That book is often overlooked because I guess I spent a lot of time studying stuff, and it really stood out. Gotcha. Would have been better for Doro if Ananyu had been killed. Yeah, but then the series would have been over like that. She is the book. She without her, Dora has lived a long time and seen a lot of atrocities in the world, especially against brown people. His outlet is controlled to protect himself. I can see that. That whole scene was kind of epic. Yeah.
I
It
was
sad, though.
stunned. I was stunned. Like, not you making Isaac kill her, and then he goes into a heart attack and doesn't realize that he killed. Like, oh, I thought it was a dream. Was it a dream? And Anyan was like, yep, it was a dream. So he just dies not knowing that he killed Enweke. Like, oh no.
Which is the child he raised,
Yeah.
whether his or not.
Yeah.
And she said all her children called Isaac dad, even if Isaac was not their biological father.
Isaac is like a lot of men who drop it and speak vastly, and then they eventually get tired of it and they want someone else to not get tired of it and want their cell ass used up. Oh hell! Settle for me. I got 11 kids. Who's gonna settle for me? I cannot.
Not his stale ass.
Yo, he did become, and the fact that they were accepting of each other, accepting of what they needed to do. They were a part of Doro's mission, but they still came home and enjoyed each other as a family and made the rest of it. Like, but he was still out there pimping, spreading his seeds. Yeah, absolutely. Not to the extent of Doro, because man,
Doro was slanging that thing everywhere.
Every second. Oh, I totally get that. She left the little girl. That was not it for me. I get that she had to go, but that did me in. Yeah. But if you know, right? If you knew that you were going to live longer than your children. And there was someone who dictated your entire life, I probably would have up and left too. She has parented tons of kids, right? She had 10 kids per husband, four or five husbands, and then she had 4 husbands, 10 kids each, I believe, and then she had a bunch of kids with Doro and Isaac and whoever else. But she did the best she could with what she had, and then she was like, I gotta leave, I gotta protect myself. It was sad though. Sounds trigger for me. I hate when characters hurt anyone with no feeling for it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This is definitely the series that they definitely, or Doro has no sense of moral compass. Like, he has no sense of that human aspect. Rebonded. Yes, I did. I really did. I'm looking forward to the next book. It's a great series to start a read along. Thank you. I made the schedule myself. So I was pissed that Doro killed the dirty white dude because she started to bond with him when it was supposed to be a punishment. Oh, yeah.
Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was so upset. And Anyanwu tried so hard to she tried to save him. Like, Doro, I'm so sorry, you're right. I should have listened.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so smug and was just like, I have to teach you a lesson. Like, he felt like he had to teach her a lesson. And that lesson was like, I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be happy. Thing. Yep. Mm-hmm. Like, because what did Anyanwu do? She took a bad situation and she made it doable. Like, she made it survivable. She made it, like, okay for herself. And that was Doro's biggest thing. Like, how dare you take this? I put you in this shit situation and you fixed it. How dare you? Now I'm going to punish you. I'm going to take him. I'm going to wear his body. And I'm going to make you have sex with me again in this nasty, dirty body. And, like, just the fact that, like, she, she slept with him. Then she put the medicine on him. And then begged for his life so he wouldn't get killed. Doro took him anyways. And then made her go to bed with him in that nasty, flea-ridden cabin. Just to add insult to injury. And I don't know what point it was that I horrible. Thought just terrible. Like, there's no, in my opinion, like, if I were on Yanu, there's no circumstance in which I forgive Doro. There's especially when it gets to the point where, like, I'm trying to save this man's life and you deliberately take him and then use him to sexually control me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way I forgive you for this. There's no way I forgive you for any of it. Like,
which was probably, on top of that, probably added to the fact of why she left, right? Like, she knew sexually, I cannot escape this man. And she finds joy in healing. She finds joy in helping the next and in helping people. And he took advantage of that. He really did. Knowing that she loves her community, her family, and helping people, and he tried to take that from her and, like, strip her down. Like, how dare you? Like you said, how dare you fix a bad situation? Because this was supposed to be a punishment in a sense. Mm-hmm. But God, she is that nurturing side of Doro. Like, she makes up for it, and it's just like, but he's such a trashy person. Oh God, it was so bad. I meant Doro wanted to be wanted. I do love that name, Doro. If I get another puppy, it's going to be Doro. Can we name on Doro the pimp? Got hoes, different doggy hoes,
and different area codes.
Mm-hmm. Thought Thomas was Native American.
I think it said, like, what did it say? Let me see if I have a highlight.
Doro's the parent that always takes your TV privileges away and then gets mad when you don't care because you have other things to entertain you. That was me as a kid. That was me.
Oh, we skipped over this because we did talk about her on the ship already, but what did you guys think of Lale? Like that scene with Lale where on the ship where Isaac is passed out and Lale brings him to Anyanwu, and then she starts seeing these like gross visions of her having like a threesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And she just describes him as being just nasty and ugly and grimy, just a skis ball. And I remember thinking, like, if all of Doro's children are like Lale, then that's unfortunate. And I'm happy that Isaac was not like Lale at all. I'm very happy because
yeah. But you don't really know that in the beginning. You think that you know that, but you don't know that in the beginning.
Yeah.
And
it's when
he was also like person was very ugly.
Yeah, she specifically says that he's ugly.
Yeah,
not him being ugly and a predator.
And
Choose a struggle. Choose a struggle.
The vision that he was putting in her mind was disgusting.
I was like, oh, wow.
How dare you invade my mind? And the fact that she towed that ass up. Man, I was like, you better. Okay, don't let no man violate you like that. Mentally?
And I love that, right before she rips his throat out, Doro's like, Anyanwu, that's enough. And she's like, oh, you thought that was enough? And she just rips his throat out. I was like, get him. That's what he deserves. That's what he deserves. Trying to attack you on the ship after he was just told. Didn't Doro just tell all his children, leave Anyanwu alone, don't mess with her?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he was better.
He really did, yeah. I thought Thomas was native and his white was white. Maybe I read it backwards. His wife was white. I think Thomas was supposed to be a mixture. And I'm trying to see in my digital version if I can locate my notes. Yeah, because I took notes on them.
He fucked around and found out, period.
Yeah.
And I think this is the moment when she told that ass up. That was the moment that I knew, like, oh, she ain't nothing to fuck around with. She ain't nothing to fuck around with. Sorry, I cuss, Maya. But
no, I cuss a lot too.
Yeah.
I'm just not cussing as much because I'm.
Girl, this is a safe space. You hear me? This is a safe space, but that's what I found. That's when I thought, like, one, she can protect herself, right?
Yeah.
But two, like, damn, like she, you struck a boundary that she was not okay with. At least the thing with, and you can see within the book that mentally she was violated, right, during that moment in the book. But throughout the book, physically she's being violated, but mentally she's still intact. Her boundaries are still there, like her space. She can deal with it. She's making a bad situation and turning it around and making it better for herself. So you can tell that, like, that was the last straw.
Yeah.
Something like that is like a no. But if you want me to have a baby, fine, I'll have a baby. Like, cool. But don't fuck around with my head.
Yeah.
Like, that was her limit. And she just, knowing that she was able to defend herself at that moment, that's when I decided, like, oh, she a badass bitch.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yes. Leo, this is original.
Lale was the original incel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He was just a nasty piece of work.
Yeah.
And Doro's just like, that's my son. I'm not proud of him. Whatever. I'm like, Doro, fuck
He
you.
learned from you. He learned from you.
Exactly. Like, you told him no, and he didn't listen.
The
Where do
apple
you
doesn't
think he...
fall far from the tree.
Exactly. Like, where do you think Lale got that from? Ugh.
Mhm.
But so if we go back to where we were talking about, this was when Anyanwu decides to go become a dolphin because she cannot attend the funerals of Enweke or Isaac.
Mhm.
So she runs off, and first she flies off as an eagle, and then she flies to the ocean and then becomes a dolphin, and then lives, I want to say they said it was 100 years when she comes back. And then she did say she had dolphin young while she was in the ocean living as a dolphin. And I thought that was like interesting, but also kind of gross.
Well, when she liked the sensation of the dolphins touching
Yeah,
when she first changed into a dolphin.
yeah.
So I wasn't surprised.
And I think at this point in the book, she maybe realizes that Doro can't track her in her animal form.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, as long as I
Which he
am...
hated. He hated
Yes, yes. But she was gone for 100 years, and she was missing human interaction, because she said when she starts to become a dolphin, she says something like, if I can learn the way to communicate with them, I can live with them for however long. And it never gets explained whether or not she actually learned to communicate with the dolphins, but it does say that she lived with them for quite a long time. Um, and I think she stopped being a dolphin because she just really missed human interaction. And like later on in the book, she says like, if I wanted to collect people with superpowers, or like people who were considered witches, I could just do that. But I don't do that. I help people who have powers, but I also have a lot of children. And I have a lot of children because I want to be surrounded by people like me. And I want to be able to help people like me. It makes me feel comfortable to be around people like me. And so, yeah, I think she couldn't stay a dolphin just because she was lonely and missed that human interaction.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting turn of events, because before she turns into a dolphin, we know that Doro is thinking about killing her, because he has that whole, his that whole inner monologue about like she's made it to her usefulness already. There's no point in her being around anymore. Um I don't know. Doro always goes back and forth between whether he wants to kill Anyanwu or keep her alive. I mean, he changes his mind like 2 or 3 times during the book. And I think it has to do with what you said earlier. It has to do with that power. Whenever he feels like he is waning on power over her, oh, it's easy to kill her. I should just kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she challenges him too much, and no one else does that.
Yeah.
No one else is allowed to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As well, right? That fear of, I know he's gonna take my body and take me out, like, is super real within the book. And she makes, like, she knows how far to go before she shuts down, but enough to stand up for herself and other people. And so when she's at her, she creates this new place. I believe it was in Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken, but she creates this new place, and it, after escaping him for a whole century, which is impressive, has another son, has some more family, more kids, a wife, a husband. She had a life. throughout that, during that time, I just felt so like, she took her power back. She created the life that she had in Africa, but better, because now she knows of the transitions. Now she knows of the uniqueness of people, the power of people, and she's surrounded around them. And she was surrounded, like, she was the only person before other than her mom, so this is something new, but she's creating her own little village. And when he comes in there again, trying to enforce rules, like enforce her to take in her, I think they were her grandkids or something like that, those nasty bastards. Or that, at least one of them, like, the things that he did. Oh God. Oh,
He got what he deserved, but it took a little too long for my liking, and he got away with a little bit too much for my liking.
Oh, 1000%. So now we're going back to being like this emotional roller coaster that Octavia is putting us through, like giving us hope, giving us like, oh, she made it out of the pimp world. She got out of the whorehouse, and now here he goes putting more people in and trying to create, more people, more kids with abilities. But yeah, what he did, and again, is that violation of the mind, and the fact that not only was he able to violate her mentally, but the girl was walking and thought that, she was physically there and she was physically moving. The difference with Anyanwu on the boat, on the ship, it was mental, it was just all in her mind, but the kid like showed up like, oh, I didn't even know I walked here. Like, he really possessed her mentally and physically, which was, such a violation. But like you said, he got away with too much shit. And her son, for him to, I mean, he got some good licks in. I wish he would have took him out, like, completely. Because that, to me, that's a huge violation, right? Like, and I thought that she was immediately going to kill him, but that didn't happen.
I thought so too. And she says like, when she asked her daughter what, Helen is a little girl, she's 11,
Mm-hmm.
and she says, what happened? And she says, well, he came and told me I was pretty, and he said he liked little girls. And then Anyan was like, oh, I should have threw him in the pigsty. And I was like, girl, you should have did more than threw him in the pigsty. You should have ended him.
Mm-hmm.
You should have ended him. And that part is
like inside out. Oh,
and because she didn't, then what happened to Steven happens to Steven. Like, and because Steven beat him up and like beat him up, made him bloody, broke his nose. So that guy wanted revenge on him.
Yeah.
And if Anyanwu had taken care of him or kicked him off, kicked him off the plantation or took care of him, whatever, killed him, took him out, she would still have her son.
She would. She really would. And her son was, you can tell that the way she was raising him into having a life beyond being this sperm donor of because that's how her previous kids were raised with Isaac. It's like, you will have a mission to carry out this family type of thing. Like, she was like, no, you need to be a boy, you need to have fun, you need to have a life. And she was really empowering the people there to enjoy their daily lives.
Mm-hmm.
And his abilities were so unique. But she should have took him out, like, point blank, period. Like, the don't even fucking give them to the pigs or any type of animals. Like, they don't need that nasty shit, like, hell no, like, not at all. That was oh God, that to me was one of the triggers that I experienced in this book. And I thank God that it was like, it went by fairly quickly, because like, God, like, Come on, I was ready for you to slit his fucking throat. Don't pick him up and take him in the house. He don't belong in the house.
And like, I know you're a healer. I get it.
Yes.
But like, you didn't have to take him inside and clean him up.
Mm-mm.
Fuck him.
Just
Like,
to tear him to pieces, and right after that.
just so he could.
Some people don't need to be healed.
Yeah,
They're far gone.
Yeah. That's like I knew when Helen had said that, oh, he told me I was pretty and that he liked little girls. I was like,
Ooh,
there's no redemption for him.
at all.
And just get him out of here. Just get him out of here. And she took him inside and fixed his broken nose. That pissed me off. Like, I know you're a healer, but I don't care. You should have handled that differently on Yanwu. And I was thinking to myself, right? How could that little girl have felt? She must have felt just terrified. Like, I just got attacked. I couldn't control my body. He was controlling my legs, so I couldn't run. Then my mom is helping him. Like, that must have made her feel terrible to know, oh, my mom is helping him.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was
I hated that so much.
And she didn't even know that he had come into powers. Like, come to find out, he didn't have any when he first got there. But I mean, like,
and her older daughter was trifling too, because the one who was supposed to, I don't remember if she was already married to him or if she was supposed to marry him, but she said, oh, he went into transition and begged me not to tell anybody. Why did you keep that to yourself? You haven't, like, your mother, who is the Sun Woman, is known for helping and keeping people alive during their transitions. She's the person you're supposed to tell that he's going through a transition, and you kept it from her.
But she also didn't like her mother, though.
Yeah.
Because she lost her brother because of that, and then her husband got killed because of that, and then she took herself out after Doro did the questioning because she couldn't take it, so she ended her life.
All because of that one little secret of hiding things from your parent. Yeah. I'm very transparent with my child. Like, I don't like that secrecy shit. I don't. Yeah. And that, to me, when she admitted to Doro, like, why did it have to be you? That's one of my biggest fears as a parent, is like hearing shit from another person. I want to hear it from your mouth. I better be the first person to hear it. And the fact that she caved and decided Doro's here, so let me go ahead and spill the beans. Like, let me go ahead and actually tell him what happened. You kept something like that from her, and it could have prevented a whole lot of things. He could have helped mend it and help. Yeah. That probably ripped a part of his soul apart. I don't know. He probably, became this horrible person because it wasn't a good, smooth, nurturing transition that she could have offered him. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I'm just making shit out of my ass, but like, still.
She should have said something.
Yeah.
The only thing worse than the dolphin thing was the fact that Anyanwu said she changed her parts to male parts and slept with Doro while he was in a female body. Absolutely not. She said she didn't want to do that because he said he wanted to try that. And she was like, no, I would never try that. I would never try that. And so I'm not sure if she actually did sleep with him after she switched her body parts, because he suggested that she do that. Yeah. And she was like, no, that's too, she told him like it was too weird for her. Mm-hmm. I don't, she had, like, the dolphin thing kind of bothers me because, like, you had to sleep with dolphins. I know you were a dolphin, but like, you're not really. So I was kind of like,
She said she wants to experience. But
it's almost like she liked animals to a certain extent more so than humans.
Right, like it was a cleanser for her to transition back to the shitty hole of the United States. And
but to me, it wasn't. it wasn't so much of a crazy part because of how she had been reacting. As I said before, she liked the sensation
Yeah.
when she changed to a dolphin the first time that we noticed she changed into a
That
dolphin.
freedom
And
of
it
not
was the
being
freedom, and also when they
slow.
rubbed against each other, the dolphin was trying to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And probably the dance that animals have in terms
Yeah.
of mating, the mating dance, and she wasn't used to that, but she liked the way it felt.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There is a sense of freedom when she does turn into a dolphin. And so after all of the events and she finally goes back, oh girl, I forgot her name, but she was like, go swim with the dolphins, like go be in the clouds with the birds. Like she was trying to help her
Mm-hmm.
tell her it's okay to transition because you've experienced so much. You just lost your son, your daughter is now dead as well, and then you got this asshole that violated her, your other one. It's just like it's too much. And so
You need to be free.
that
You
that
need
freedom
you
of
need to be free.
flowing through the waters and escaping, I would want to do it too. That's what we do as human beings, especially us on, with books, right? Like
Yeah.
we need that escapism.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And
didn't get
she,
bothered by the dolphin thing at all either.
I didn't like that she had dolphin babies, but that's just my like, I don't know, that just was very weird to me and it made me feel very like weird. But that's just the hang up that I have. When
I think
she flew off and became a bird, and then because of the lady that you were talking about, I can't remember her name either. She was like, "You need to go off and just become a bird, become an animal, become something. Just leave."
yeah,
And so she left, and she came back a month later. And when I first read that, I was so surprised because I thought it was going to be another period of her being gone for X amount of years.
mm-hmm.
And I think the lady who was giving her the advice to leave for a little bit thought she was going to be longer too, but Anyanwu couldn't be away, and I thought
Yeah,
maybe it was just too lonely by
yeah,
herself, and she
she
was like,
missed
it's
her.
not worth it.
I
Mm-hmm.
think she really missed the community that she built. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of caring and nurturing to create something that Doral did, but with a loving impact. Made out of love rather than what Dora was doing and just like a fucking horror village, like. So I took it as like her missing them, but when she came back and that impact the news that she got, and like, yeah, it wasn't, old girl had passed away, and um, yeah, she was heartbroken from there. But I don't know if that
That's so
month-long
sad.
thing actually, kind of helped her because she went into that slump of like, I'm done. And you can really feel at the end of the book where she's just done. Everybody knows she's done. She's finished. She was the protector of the village, switching to a white person to protect the slaves, and she is the the key to everything to make that whole household move, and keep it sustaining, keep everybody healthy. And she was just like, I don't care. I'm finished.
Yeah.
I have to escape. I have to escape Doro. This is not going to. I I think majority of that feeling is Doro, because he's going to bring more people here. I'm going to continue to have to fight him. They're going to continue bumping heads, continue fighting each other. And I'm never going to get the peace that I need because I'll never be able to escape him in human form. And so that's the kind of depression mode that I got from her, is like, she can't escape. She can't leave. She can't have the life that she wants. So I don't know, but it tore me to pieces. Like having her experience all of that escape, having to come back, and she's just like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to die. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
myself out since door 8.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
And
sad.
and Doro's change of mind where he, throws his little tantrum and cries, "Oh, Anyanwu, don't do it." And I'm just like, you're the reason why she wants to do it in the first place.
Exactly.
Like, he never even stopped to think about that.
Mm-hmm. And then you can tell that she started to submit to him when she was married to Isaac, right? Where she was just like, you want a fucking kid? I'll give you a kid. And she submitted her body, not mentally, but she submitted her body over to him to allow, these babies to come out left to right. But at that moment, when he caved and knew ain't shit happening, it's gonna be both of y'all to, living out all of these people y'all create. And he finally submitted to her. And she was like, I got you, mother. I felt at the end of the book, and she woke up, or he woke up in the morning and she was still alive. I bet her whole mindset was just like, you son of a bitch, you mine now. Like,
Yeah.
I know your
Yeah.
weakness now. I'm
Yeah.
your weakness. I'm your weakness. And he finally, but when he submitted to her and begged her, do not take your life.
I was like,
I was like, there
okay.
goes this bitch ass.
So now you want to act like you have feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where these feelings come from, bro? Like,
Right.
but she knocked the pimp down a couple notches, ready to and physically showing him. I don't know if she really felt like she was going to, like, if she was presenting. And don't tell me because you read this whole series. If she was
I won't say anything.
If she was presenting and acting like she was going to take her life, and that she was fed up to see if that was a possibility to knock him a couple pegs down, or if she was really fed up and she was really ready to go, and the only escape from him, from the loss of people, from the tragedy that she was constantly experiencing, was to just head out. So I don't know if, like, I don't know. What did you think at the end of the book? Like, what was your perception like when she was ready to go, and that submission part? Do you think she was like doing it just to escape, or do you think like she was doing it as an act?
Me or Adrienne?
Both of y'all. Adrienne.
Okay.
I'm here. I thought I lost my earring.
I think she actually meant it, just because I could feel through the writing how tired she was. Like, just so tired and just done with Doro. And so it felt like she was really giving up. Like, maybe she thought she had exhausted all her options. So she was just like, you know what? Screw it. Whatever. I'll just take myself out. But it could be that she came to the realization of, like, he doesn't want to be alone as much as I don't want to be alone. And the only person that he feels family or love or camaraderie with is me.
Yeah.
Was the only one that Doro really cared about. He mentions Isaac, and then he shows at the end that he cares about Anyanwu. And then a couple of times he says, like, oh yeah, I care about them, my coveted few. The ones, his children that he thought were the most talented, he cared about. But
yeah, the one that benefited him.
Yeah. But even that's hard to believe for me. Like, him being, like, him whining about Anyanwu, like, oh no, Anyanwu, don't go, don't end your life. It felt very, like, self-serving. It was very self-serving. It was very like, but if you go, I'll be here alone and I'll be by myself and you're the only person I've ever met like me. Don't go. Well, maybe you should treat her better.
Right.
Instead of turning her into a broodmare.
Yeah.
I just couldn't
do you think
stand
he was
Doro.
pretending, Adrienne?
Yeah, say the inquiry. Sorry, question again. Did
Do you think towards that end where Doral finally submitted to her was, her being in that depressive state ready to go? Do you think that was her acting to see where Doral, if Doral was like okay with it, because he had threatened her life several times, or was she acting to see where Doral's head was, or was she like really fed up? What do you think?
I thought that she was trying to find out where his head was, but at the same time, I thought that she was tired. She's been going through this with him for so long,
like 2 centuries,
and enough is enough.
Or almost 2
enough
centuries.
Is enough.
Just running after him, like, and then coming back, and this mother sucker is in her house. Like, come on.
I just,
she's like, I can't escape your ass. Come on.
Just terrible. Just get the hell out of my house. Get the hell out of my life.
Right. I
can't stand Doro.
Like, I think it was a mix of like, I need to see, because he had like he did that thing with her where she felt like he was taking her body, and then he hopped out of it. But I was like, okay, well, so she knows that he could take over her body, but like part of me was like thinking like, okay, well, she's testing him, and then part of me is like, I know she's fed up. Like, she escaped this man for a century. Like, I know she is fed up with him. And so I think it was a mix. Don't tell me, Mike, because I know you know. But I really think it was a mix of like, let me see if I can get this man to cave.
Well, like, it doesn't really, in the other books, it doesn't really say, just because this is considered a prequel.
This was a good ass prequel.
Yeah. It's considered a prequel, and some people read the series backwards, starting with Patternmaster and then going backwards from there. And that's one way to read it, which is closer to publication order. But I like reading it from the prequel on.
I'll be right back. My food is coming.
Okay. You start from the very beginning and just go branch outward. But she doesn't really say, too much more about Anyanwu. Which is like, because Anyanwu is my favorite character. She's my favorite character.
Oh, man. We don't know her origin story, her original story. The power struggle from the beginning, the battle of opposite of achieving what one wanted but was achieving with ease. It was definitely, you can tell the power struggle in just he wanted to be so dominant throughout the entire book, that right, again, that dictatorship. And when his ass caved, and I was just like, I knew, you son of a bitch. All those threats were empty threats. You can't live without her. You done got you a piece of African loveless, scrumptious queens, and now you can't do without her.
Basically.
She's spending her life and feeling like she's in a hellhole. And meanwhile, you just cave like that? Like, she's ready to go. You ruined her fucking life since she met you. There's a passage in chapter 11 that was so fascinating. Her convo with Doral about the sun, talking about the breeding of black men. Yeah. And why they have to boast about having multiple sex partners and a bunch of kids, but don't know how to be actual fathers. That, okay, 1000%. That's why she was getting on them. Like, they need to have a life, right? They need to be able to do X, Y, Z as human beings and not just breeding stocks. Like, they need to grow up. And I think that is why when Dora brought those piece of shits in, they finally transitioned. They finally had a community, a family, they felt like human beings.
Mhm.
And instead of just like these things, these objects, they felt like human beings. And, they finally transitioned when they got there, which is a super late transition, but it's that human aspect, right? Of having that human aspect. And I think that's what I was thinking, why it helped them transition. So yeah. Don't think Dora has capacity to care about anyone, much less. Yeah.
Oh, so the comment right there about Doro having the capacity or not having the capacity to love.
Mhm.
I remember when I first read this, I talked to someone and she was like, "How did you love the book? Or how did you like the book?" And I told her I loved it. And she said, "Yeah, I loved it too. It's one of my favorite romance stories. I just really love the romance between." I can't even say it.
I forgot I was muted. I said, what?
She said it was one of her favorite romances, and I didn't want to be rude, but I was kind of thinking like, I'm really worried for you and the romances you get into, because
Right.
if you think Dora was romantic,
My God.
I think
That's
this
actually
book,
scary.
that
It's-
is super scary. The fact that you think that this is a romance book.
I was like, I don't think it's a romance. I think it's about overcoming oppression and misogyny, and I think it's about feminism and how women can do anything. This woman literally can do anything
Yeah.
in the books, and she was just like, I feel like it's a romance, and I'm like, So I was gonna say, how do you guys feel about the statement that this book is a romance, a
fucking
sci-fi
joke.
romance?
That's
I was
romance.
I was like,
I
oh,
think
it's
that
she
says a
white?
lot about the person who thinks that.
Wait,
And
she wasn't white?
no.
Sorry, Adrienne. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just had to know. Like that's like
I was very
I
concerned.
would counteract. I would write this. I would put this in the genre a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
I would put this in the sci-fi horror. Keep in mind, and this is the thing, the spin that Tanana Reeve does. Her sci-fi horror, or her horror, not sci-fi, but her horror books tug on your emotions. It tugs on. It is not. These are graphic scenes for some of these. Like these are really graphic scenes, but it goes into Black trauma. It goes into those stories that we have. This slavery. This touches. I would categorize this as sci-fi horror. I wouldn't even categorize. There's nothing romantic about this book. It
Just
is
absolutely nothing romantic.
Traumatizing. This is
like
not...
imagine, you're minding your own business in your home country, and this African immortal comes and says, I can sense you, and I can feel where you are, and I can follow you wherever you are. If you don't come with me and do what I want, I'm gonna hurt all your children. Like,
stock, and you're gonna have all my babies and whatever babies I tell you to have, and
yes,
be my slave, my sex.
Like, I was like, that's not romantic at all. And I thought to myself, is it just me? Because I've had people say like I'm too much of a radical feminist or a radical womanist, and so I thought to myself, like, is it me? Am I just being like too radical with this book? But like, no, it's not a romance. It's not a romance.
And it's not even, if you think about BDSM, it's not even anything like that.
No,
not at all.
Not even.
Because at first, figure out where the person would get romance from, it's not.
To start off with BDSM, you need consent and consent and consent and consent, and there was none of that here. Dora was just doing whatever the fuck he wanted.
And how he wanted to do it.
Jessica Moss says, the fuck, where's the romance?
At all. Like, oh no.
And I remember that was the only conversation I ever had with a woman.
He brought the D. Lord. And
He did
different
bring
shapes
that.
and sizes
She-
and colors. Okay.
She did
I was
like
about to say that too.
that last body that she was in when she got pregnant. She did like that last body he was in.
Mm.
Oh, I bet you some of the girlies would call it dark romance.
But that's why I mentioned
No,
BDSM, because I'm like, that's not it either.
that's not.
Because that's not even mentioned in that.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think Wildseed is a romance by any
No.
means of the imagination. Just there's too much stalker, controlling, abuse, emotional abuse, physical
Too much
abuse,
trauma.
too much trauma. Like he sleeps with his own daughter. Like where's the romance? All I see is yuck and yuck. That's
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
definitely not. Definitely not.
No.
Sci-fi erotica. Hell no. Hell no.
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 Oh, maybe she didn't read the book and tried to play it off. I was
Maybe.
trying to play it off. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. She said that that Octavia Butler was also one of her favorite authors, and I was like, "Oh, that's so great because she's my favorite author too." And then she proceeded to talk about how Wildseed was a romance, and I was very confused.
Did we read the same book?
That's what I was thinking. Like, what do you mean? If Wildseed was her
Yeah,
baseline for romance, I would hate to know what she considers horror.
I agree.
Oh, we're gonna get to horror. We're gonna get to horror, and it's gonna be glorious.
Again, it's just like Tanana Reeve do,
Yeah,
where it is, she touches on family trauma. She touches on your emotions. She makes you feel like she will make you feel that heartache, that pain, and that's like you will suffer in her books because you're crying throughout it because something traumatizing and that black trauma that people go through. And that's what I felt throughout this entire book. This is not nothing romantic. This is literally traumatizing from the beginning to the end. And you feel it. Those emotions.
they were friends.
Hopeful. I felt hatred. I felt anger. I felt so many different things. This is definitely more so that. But like, who the? That person's an idiot. I'm sorry.
Octavia Eve Butler and Tanana Reeve were friends, and when I think of horror, I think of Tanana Reeve,
Mm-hmm.
and then by a lesser extent, I think of Octavia Butler.
Yeah.
The only thing I've read by Do
this
is
is a easier horror book to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's about African immortals also.
Yeah.
I read the first book of that.
Ooh,
whatever the first one is called.
My Soul to Keep.
My Soul to Keep. Yep, that's what I read for Black Aween-a-thon during October last year. But I know there's like The Living Blood. Yep, The Living Blood.
My favorite book out of the entire African Immortal series, and then it's The Blood Colony. Adrienne, don't try to one up me.
I know, but I don't have that one. I could
My Soul to Take.
My Soul to Take is a fourth book, which there's a huge difference between this book and then this book. Like I felt like I was reading a completely different series. But yeah, this is my favorite. So if you guys have read My Soul to Keep, please do not skip out on The Living Blood. It is a banger. Banger.
I'm going to actually look up when The Living Blood was published.
It's the second book. I think it was published in 99 or...
Ooh, I like that.
2001, maybe?
1997. Oh, no, My Soul to Keep was 1997. Yeah. Blood Colony was 2008. Wow, so she did like 11 years in between. Mm-hmm. I really love the 90s feel.
Yeah, the Blood Colony is the third book. So The Living Blood is the second book, but yeah. I'm sorry, every taboo, everything that exists in humanity was thrown into this book. Oh, yes. Or even some kink. Absolutely.
This was far from a romance. Yeah.
Look, if this person was thinking about, you had two main characters that were through space and time, long periods of time, that they would meet. They wouldn't meet on their own accord. You know, I can recommend a different book, which is For All Time by Shauna Miles. That is literally, they are in different periods of time where they rediscover themselves again, and they love each other in each timeline. It's a beautiful book. That is romance. That is not what this is.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond says it's a dark sci-fi enemies to lovers horror romance. That's killing me.
I agree. I would even say that this is a dark sci-fi. Like this is, it's traumatic. It is traumatic. Dark sci-fi horror. Yes, if you want to say enemies to lovers, like I just can't wait for the next book. So, I said people will sell as much if you give them a minute or two, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I need to read my Soul to Keep. I'm so behind. Oh, please do.
It's good.
It is. I do too, but I have to pace myself. So, Nana is. So, is it not a love a whore? I don't think so.
No.
My Soul to Keep was soft. Like I felt like it was like an intro. Like it wasn't gory, it wasn't necessarily graphic. There's definitely some blood scenes, a couple killings, but I mean, like it's a softer touch. The Living Blood is when you in the first book, like you're just gonna hate Jessica throughout the entire book. I know we're not talking about Octavia.
She was getting on my nerve.
She is mad fucking annoying. Mad annoying. And she does get a little better this second book because that's where she comes into her own and whatnot and becomes a main character and is doing things for her family. So yeah, I'm good. I can do it then. Yeah, I don't think it's gory. I don't think it's graphic, and it's not like Brandon Massey. The thing, like he had those scenes where you just had to like shut the book and like, oh. Like, oh gosh, but yeah, I think you can. Again, there's a couple of killings, but I mean, other than that, like, Tanana Reeve is touching those emotions, and that's where you're gonna feel the horror aspect.
Yeah, it was just like I remember my Soul to Keep feeling like a slow burn, but I was still very invested because it was very like creepy. Ooh, it's so creepy. Just thinking about it makes me happy. And I love that it was written in the 90s because I was born in the 90s, so it gives me that nostalgia. Yeah, it gives me that nostalgia feel. And I really enjoyed that. I think one of the reasons why I really liked Wildseed is because it's also a historical fiction. Right? So we're like back in time in history,
Very much
and
so.
I like historical fiction about Black people surviving through the odds. Like, just Black people persevering.
Yes.
It's so inspirational. I think that's why I love Anyanwu. She just kept persevering. Like, and when it got too much and she needed mental health days, she took a mental health century and lived her life as a dolphin.
Well, she had to leave people behind for it, but
yeah,
she did.
Yeah.
I know someone mentioned that leaving her family was like, super hard for them to accept that or, whatever. But she escaped this man for a century. Not a decade, a century.
Yep.
And not only that, she was able to fall in love again. She was able to have children. She was able to build a community that accepted her in her transitions because she was the only one to be able to do that, to transition to a dog, transition to a leopard or whatever. But she built a safe space made out of love, and she wasn't able to do that if she wasn't able to sacrifice and move and leave her family behind.
Yeah.
And not attend her child's funeral and her husband's funeral.
Which was just so sad.
Mm. But yeah, I completely agree. I was not scared at all. No, you'll be fine then.
Historical fiction horror.
Yeah.
Oh, Jessica, not you. The character
Yeah.
from the book.
Yeah, we're not talking about her.
No.
We're not talking about her. But I mean, to me, it was just that first book. It's the first book. I didn't necessarily. I mean, she still got on my nerves to a certain extent, but you got to keep in mind her children are older. She's older. She's grown up, so yeah, she's not as naive. Poor Jessica. I know Jessica during the book club discussion. Book Jessica is not living life, right? Absolutely. She took a self-care century.
Yep, the self-care century. She sure did.
And the fact that she knew that back in those times, right? Mental health was not a thing. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
But she did it. She was like, fuck y'all, I'm gonna be happy. Fuck yeah, I'm leaving.
I'm gonna live off my life for the next century, just chilling.
So the next book, book 2,
Mind of my mind.
Mind of my mind. Now, if you want to look at this queen.
Thanks now.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I did not know who she was until she died. I was so sad. I was like, oh gosh.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know who she was until she died.
I knew who she was. I knew of her, but I had never read any of her books. I'm 32 years old, and I hadn't read her book until I turned 30 years old. And then I was like, why haven't I read Octavia Butler? And it was when I started getting more into sci-fi, and I specifically sought out Black sci-fi. And so I read Wildseed. That was my first book by her, and then I just was blown away. So I read her whole catalog. I think there's still 3 books that I haven't read by her: Adulthood Rights, Imago, and Survivor.
Which we'll be reading.
Yep.
All of the books throughout this year, and then we're still trying to figure out the whole Kindred movie thing.
Yeah.
Watch party, because that.
Well, they just canceled it. So.
Yeah, they did. They canceled the TV show.
You didn't know that? I'm looking at you. You didn't know that? They canceled
the season 1 is out, but they can't. They canceled the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me,
even more reason why I want to read the book, because the books are usually better than the series. One person had posted a video and she said, y'all might cancel me for this, but I'm glad that and she was Black. She said, I'm glad that they canceled it. She said, because I read the book and the show was terrible.
The book is a lot different than the show. It's the only thing similar is the premise, and then everything else is just different. It's so different. But the books are always going to be better.
Alicia,
I agree.
Quit coming for my neck, Alicia. Quit coming for my neck. Yes, I'm a planner. Everything is planned out, first of all. And the fact that you know that, you know me too well. Yes, we have a whole schedule and, the dates of when we will be having the live discussion. But quit coming for my neck, because you hold me accountable every single time. And you be like this, like...
In the midst of her 1,000 books that she's reading.
Right! Time to come for my neck. How do you have time for that? Like,
At least she's the GOAT.
Read 1,000 books a year. How do you have time in the midst of you reading all of these massive books? I don't understand. So right now, what we have, just because to prep everyone, we will be reading Mind of My Mind the second Thursday of March. Write it down. The second Thursday of every month. If something comes up, then we will let you guys know. But the second Thursday, and I chose Thursday because Brandy doesn't have sprints anymore. She does her pop-up sprints on Tuesday sometimes, and Mondays just are too busy, and weekends are full of book club discussions, and so many different things on the weekend. So I figured, why not do it Thursdays, because that's the only other day. Unless I chose, my Wednesday. So, but then at least these will come for my neck if I miss a sprint. So it just the math wasn't going to be mathing. So the second Thursday of the month, I could put all of that in the description. And now I have not added the description links and stuff like that yet. So it will be in there.
I like that Tangible Read says, Clay's arc was amazing. Can't wait till you get to that. Clay's arc is my favorite book out of this series that she wrote, but Clay's arc is also the darkest, and it's the one that I've heard people say that they dislike the most because it is the darkest.
So the actual 4.
But Parable of the Talents is dark too. And very scary and sad. But Clay's arc,
that I read years ago, but yeah.
Oh, very dark and very scary and very sad, but very powerful. Made me cry. And Clay's arc is my favorite. So when we get to that, I'm just don't even mind me. I'm just gonna be losing my mind when we do the discussion because it's my favorite one, and I'm just gonna be a bundle of like. I'm excited.
Come with the notes.
Just make if I just want to say, if people need to, just make sure that you look up trigger warnings, because it's Octavia Butler, and there are a lot of sensitive subjects. So if you need to, you can go to booktriggerwarnings.com and you can look up whatever book.
A website.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I used to tag them in my description all the time because I didn't realize that people were that was a thing when I first started reading. I read books just to read books, and things were uncomfortable, but to me, triggers are like it causes a physical emotion or something physical as opposed to just discomfort. And so I didn't realize that was a thing. So I used to tag it in my descriptions all the time for certain videos, but I stopped because I'm like,
is it warnings or warning.com?
Let me check. Warnings with an S. Booktriggerwarnings.com. And you can look
learn something new every day. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And they have a big selection on there that you can look up. Okay. And then if you look up a book and it's not there, it's kind of like a Wikipedia where you can add it yourself if you've read it and the warnings in there. Yeah. So if it's on there, look up Clay's arc, look up Mind of My Mind. I don't think Mind of My Mind has a lot of trigger warnings, like now that I'm thinking about it. Doesn't have a lot. So yeah, just make sure you guys are staying safe and mentally prepared. That's all.
Can't wait to start.
Well, I'm also not used to reading or finding trigger warnings either, because at my age, when I was reading before I started really reading now, before when I was reading, there was no such thing as trigger warnings.
Yeah.
So you just read. If it bothered you, it bothered you.
It bothered you. That's how I kind of feel when I'm reading.
Yeah.
I have a thing with kids because I was a teacher for 6 years. But I mean, like, and even me as a mom, like, I'm just like, but it's discomfort because I know it's in a book and I will kill in real life. Okay. Mm-hmm. You will catch not only these hands, okay? Heads off.
Yep. Off. Get them out. Just get them out of here.
But I love that Jessica started and she's on page 1. Mind in my mind, and she says it's crazy.
It is.
Already had to put the book
From
down.
the first page?
From the first page. From the first page.
I love that.
See, I don't have the other books. I got to get the other books.
On these dates because I have to schedule it. Fit me into your million books. Got it. Not Brandy laughing.
I'm gonna be in the chat when you do the mule bone. Are you doing mule bone?
Oh yeah.
Okay. The way you looked at me, I was like, she's not doing mule bone now.
But that's on Brandy's channel, right?
Yeah,
this next month is going to be on Brandy's channel, so we'll be reading Meal Blown by Zora Neale Hurston.
Yeah.
And that live discussion, I believe, is March 4th.
Okay.
It's the first Saturday. The first Saturday. That schedule, Alici's, is already built up for the year too. Don't cut me.
That's one of my reads right now that I'm reading. I'm going to start Mind of My Mind next month because I know if I start it now, I'm going to forget about the questions that I have. So I'm going to start it closer to next month so I can be prepared. And yeah, I'm excited to get those Zora Neale Hurston. Aren't they?
It's so pretty.
I have a local thrift store in my area, and I went, and all the books in her catalog were at that thrift store, and they were $2 each. $2 each, and they were the ones from Barnes and Noble with like the very nice sleek covers.
Wow.
And then someone also donated at that same thrift store on the same day. Someone donated some Angela Davis and some books on Black liberation, and I was like, whose Black auntie activist just gave up all these? They were all for $2. I snatched them up, and then I saw
they might have been from somebody's estate, actually.
Oh, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
They might have been, yeah. I was so excited, and then I saw that you guys were having the Zora Neale Hurston, and I was like, I'm prepared. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Wow, $2. That's exciting.
That's amazing because we definitely paid a nice little penny for our little box. But yeah, gotta have it on my calendar. Yay, we got the dates. I can work with that. I cannot. Look, the last sprint, folks witnessed a true miracle of Bree did not kick her out of her own sprints, and I'm so proud of her. Don't come for me. Y'all know y'all don't get quality nothing over here. You get what you get, and I'm here. I show up. Take me as I am. A lot of times I do kick myself out or my internet drops and I'm out of my own sprints, but we fixed it.
Alyssa says, are they at level Kindred or level Wildseed? For Clay's Arc, you're going to have to create a new level because it's a little bit worse than Kindred. So whatever you could think of as worse than Kindred is what Clay's Arc is.
So like an actual horror book.
Yeah. Man, like I was getting like the jitteries when I was reading it. I was reading it and I like my breathing increased and like I got the jitteries and I had to put the book down because I was like, it's getting exciting.
Beyond totally sci-fi.
Did you say March 4th is Mule and Bone?
It's that first Saturday.
Okay. That's good because I'm out of town.
I'm going to put that in my calendar.
Oh, you just don't want to be here for us.
No. Because, I mean, I'll take it with me. I'm only going 2 hours away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I already added the dates to my calendar. I cannot with y'all. Currently reading Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. Oh, love it.
Have you read that yet?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the one that's like 800 pages? Yeah. Was it good?
Phenomenal.
Oh,
but something... like Jira said, it touches on every possible trigger.
Oh,
trigger. And I knew halfway in that book was going to be, memorable. I still think about that book. Black auntie activist, yes.
Yeah.
on Kindred. I had to step away from Kindred several times. Written in graphic novels had me stepping away.
The graphic novel is so powerful, just as powerful as the book. I love the adaptations. They're supposed, Damian Duffy and John Jennings are supposed to make Parable of the Talents, the graphic novel, but it's been on hold for a little bit.
I have one. Someone gifted me one for my birthday, and it's the
Parable of the Sower,
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Lena. I still
which
don't know who
is
Lena
a good book.
Yeah.
It's very good.
And the way that that's beautiful. The way that I created the schedule was to have a series and then a single book and then another series and a single book, just to kind of break things up. But yeah, I can't wait to talk about the next book next month, guys, and it's gonna be great.
Yep.
Mentally prepare for Clay's arc. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember when she fell asleep. Reese brings surprises. Yo, y'all not coming for me. I thought I was loved. And we're doing 1619. Yes, we'll start 1619.
Is that your book club discussion? Your book club discussion.
That is Brandy's thing. Brandy
Okay.
is Books with Brandy Shanae. She is creating a slow read for 1619 projects and then every month we'll have a discussion on a section of the book, just so we can have those in-depth serious conversations.
I'm gonna go to that. Yeah, that sounds exciting.
I cannot wait. I read some of 1619, but I think it would just be easier to do. So Brandy will have the information soon.
Okay.
I felt Wildseed was more dark than Clay's arc. More triggers too.
I thought it was the opposite, where I felt like Clay's arc was darker than Wildseed, and Clay's arc had more triggers.
I can't wait to see what I think once we get to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be so exciting to talk about. But first, we got to get through Mind of My Mind, and I'm excited to get to that. I'm excited to reread that. Like the first time, I think I gave it 4 stars. So let's see if I give it like a 5-star this time around.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Ugh, not Brandy. Brandy, stop it. Brandy. No, she called for a reason. I need to call Erica back too. She probably corrected me on my dates.
No, I just feel like bothering you.
What?
Hi, Brandy.
Hi.
Hey.
That's why my battery at 2%. I hope it hang up.
That's really rude. I have y'all on my screen, on my TV. I'm just listening. Hi.
Hey.
So when are you gonna supply with the 1619 schedule? It's already made, right?
What?
The 1619 schedule is already made, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some graphics together. But yeah, the dates are pretty much finalized. I'll have everything posted probably close to the middle of the month.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Yeah, our live discussion is the 4th, right?
Don't let me lie.
I thought you were calling to correct me. I thought she was.
It's the second week, right?
So that means it can't be the 4th. It has to be the next Saturday from Newbone.
I thought it was the 4th. I don't know where my. Hold on.
Because we usually give that extra week.
There goes my. No,
that's it's the 11th.
We don't do it the extra week for the live discussion. We do that for the read-up.
Yeah.
So I have the schedule written to you. It's the 4th, and then the 8th of April, the 6th of May, and that's all the dates y'all gonna get.
Yeah.
Okay, what time on the 4th?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Black people time.
Yeah, I asked because I have,
Hold on,
besides me traveling, I
Tell
also
people
have
time.
a college fair that day.
Tell people
So
time.
I might just catch y'all on the rebound with that.
Oh.
But I'm reading it.
Yeah. Call the people time. CPT.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, that's it. Does anybody else have you have anything you want to say with Octavia?
Nothing. I'm just here supporting, listening to y'all on my big screen TV.
Yeah, because
Aw.
she got that 75-inch money.
Ooh.
Dollar money.
Not no names, okay? Last time you said the A name, my freaking lights went off downstairs.
Oh, you mean Alexa?
You just triggered her. Saying her name. So disrespectful.
You might have triggered everybody's Alexa.
You're right.
I don't appreciate it. Mm-mm.
Oh, hi,
My
Brandon.
voice only she listens to.
Yeah, well, she listened to me the last couple times, so.
Mm-mm.
Oh, it packed a lot in the short book. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bring on FaceTime and chat, right?
Yeah.
This is us, Maya. I'm sorry that you're having to
No, you're fine.
roll with it.
I rock back and forth for comfort, so I hope it's not bothersome.
No, you're fine.
No.
I do that.
Do you have your own channel?
Yes, I do. It's at Maya Supernova. Let me just make sure that's correct, though.
Yeah.
Now
I'm pissed at Doro all over again.
Yeah, so it's MAYA
Mm-hmm.
SUP
Mm-hmm.
3 R
Well, Gabby's having the
N
one for K. Jemison.
0 VA.
She did one already for the first book.
I know. I did not get that notification.
Okay.
I didn't know.
N.K. Jemisin. Oh, what book are they discussing on March 4th for N.K. Jemisin?
The Obelisk Gate.
I have to read. Oh, I can't read it fast enough. Wait, yes, I can. That's next month. Okay, yay. Wait, but we're doing Mealbone.
They're doing
So
Bincy
Gabby
this
is
Saturday.
doing it.
Oh,
Gabby, from the Curious Owl, she's doing an N.K. Jemisin read along.
okay.
Mhm.
I have a book club for Black and Indigenous sci-fi, and last month we read the 5th season. So I'm like caught up. I could do that. That the 5th season was a fantastic book.
Yes.
I read
that last year. Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
it was so good. That was my first N.K. Jemisin book.
Did you read her other series? The
Inheritance.
Oh,
The
Inheritance trilogy.
I haven't read it. I'm gonna finish the Broken Kingdoms trilogy, and then once I finish that, I think I'm gonna do the Cities duology, and then once I think I've finished that, I'm gonna go to the Inheritance.
Yeah, that's what I need to read, the Cities duology.
Yeah,
the other ones I've read. Well, except for her other what is it?
Yeah.
Duology.
That's right, Ulysses. It's at, and then you could just put youtube.com/at, and that's my username.
Yeah, I was going to link all of that.
Oh, thanks so much.
My phone died.
Oh no!
Now she can't call me. Oh Lord, and she be knowing my phone is always dead. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the description so you guys can follow her.
Thank you.
Finally posted another video recently, and then I will link there. I need to get better at it. At this point, I need to just create a permanent tag for Adrienne. Disrespectful. I'm sorry. I didn't laugh at that.
I said she gonna say something in the chat.
Yep. But this is Maya's channel, so I will go ahead as soon as I get off of here. Give me like 10 minutes, and I will link everybody's stuff down below, and I will also put the schedule for the next 2 books in the live discussion in the description. So I will make it as easy as possible. But I appreciate you guys doing this because Dr. Professor convinced me to read Octavia, and I'm hooked. I'm hooked, and it's been such an experience. I just absolutely love it. I'm a fantasy girl, but I love horror aspects and I love thrillers. And so this kind of gives me what I need. This, Octavia. So definitely, for sure. So I will link everything. Bree, just keep it in a Word document, keep everything on your description, copy and paste. And see, that's what my YouTube does now, where it just like automatically defaults. So I have to go in and add the extra stuff. And so I just need to add in Adrienne as a permanent default because she's there every time. Not a description channel. It meant to say description box. No worry. Thanks for discussion. Thank you for starting this read along. It is not a read along. Y'all creating something it's me just wanting to read books. Okay. All right. Bye. Bye, everyone. We will see you.
Everyone.